All right, let's dive in. Today we're talking Ulam Raja. You might know it as Cosmos Caudatus. We've got a blog post from a gardener, and I always love these kind of personal takes, to see what we can learn.
It's amazing what you can find. Like, even a casual blog post could be full of knowledge if you know what to look for.
Oh, totally. And this gardener's Ulam Raja is, well, it's finishing up its life cycle. But get this. The first planting, it reseeded itself. There are already new seedlings popping up. It's like this plant just zooms through life, seed to flower to seed, all in 1 year.
Yeah, that's annuals for you. They really make the most of their time. Put on a show and then make sure the next generation is ready. But there's this one thing, it kind of caught my eye. The gardener mentioned giving away some older seeds, and they said those didn't sprout so well.
Oh yeah, the seed viability thing. To be honest, I've had mixed results with older seeds too. Some seem to last forever, but others are just like duds after a few months. I wonder if some plant varieties are just, I don't know, tougher over time.
That's a good question. It makes you think about like heirloom varieties and how to preserve them, especially with the climate changing and all that. Seed banks and careful storage become even more important, to keep that diversity.
Yeah, it's like a race against time to save those genetics. Now, for this second round of Ulam Raja, the gardener is trying something new. Heavy pruning, I'm imagining, like giving this plant a serious haircut.
Exactly. They're going for a bushier plant, something more compact. I am curious, though. They didn't say why they chose to do that. Maybe they don't have a lot of space. Or maybe they want more leaves.
Maybe they just like how it looks when it's fuller. This gardener, they describe themselves as an old software plumber. Makes me wonder if that kind of thinking, that analytical mindset, if it affects their gardening. Like, is there a connection between solving problems in code and solving problems in the garden?
That's an interesting thought. They both need you to be systematic, right? Test things, tweak things, adapt based on the results.
Hmm.
And in both, you really got to be patient.
It's that whole debug and iterate mentality. So we talked about the life cycle, the reseeding. We even got this interesting link between software and gardening. But I really want to know, like, what does an Ulam Raja at the end of its life cycle actually look like?
That's where things get really interesting. And I think it's a good chance for you, the listener, to use your imagination.
So, okay, let's try and picture this Ulam Raja taking its final bow. Imagining like that bright green starting to fade, maybe some yellow, some brown on the leaves. What else do you think we'd see?
The stems. They start out all flexible, full of life, right?
Hmm.
But now I bet they'd be more brittle, almost like wood. And the flowers, remember those beautiful flowers
Yeah.
attracting all those pollinators? They'd probably be gone by now, just leaving behind those dried seed heads. It is kind of bittersweet, like watching a performer take their final bow, but, with the promise of an encore for the next generation.
It's like an ending, but also like a beginning at the same time.
Yeah.
And speaking of those seed heads, I'm curious, what's going on inside them while they're drying out?
Oh, that's where the real magic happens. Inside each one, those tiny Ulam Raja seeds are developing, each one with the instructions to make a whole new plant. It's amazing how much potential is packed into something so small.
It's like those time-lapse videos, where you see a seed sprout and grow. The gardener, they didn't really talk about how the Ulam Raja actually spreads its seeds. Do you think it's the wind? Or do they just fall to the ground?
Probably a bit of both, I'd say. Some cosmos, their seeds are made to catch the wind like little parachutes, but others, yeah, they just rely on gravity. It makes you think, if you were taking care of this Ulam Raja, would you let it reseed on its own? Or would you, take a more hands-on approach?
That's a tough one. Part of me likes the idea of letting nature do its thing. But then I'd also want to make sure I had seeds for next year, just in case. Maybe a little of both. Let some spread naturally, but then collect some to store properly. And speaking of storage, our gardener, they definitely learned about seed freshness. What are the big things that affect how long seeds stay good?
Well, the type of plant is a big one. Some seeds are just naturally tough. They can last for years, even decades. Others, they're more delicate. But storage, that's super important too. Cool, dark, and dry, that's what you want, like a spa day for seeds.
No hot attics for these guys. It makes me think about those giant seed banks they have around the world. The ones saving all that biodiversity for the future. They're like the Fort Knox of plants.
Yeah, they're doing really important work protecting our botanical heritage. We've been talking a lot about how the Ulam Raja looks throughout its life. But I wonder, are there other, like, sensory clues that tell you it's declining?
Ooh, that's a good point. We talked about how it looks, but what about how it smells? Does the smell of the Ulam Raja change as it gets older?
A lot of plants, they give off different scents at different stages.
Yeah.
Maybe the Ulam Raja, when it's young, it's got that fresh, herbaceous smell, but then as it gets older, maybe it becomes more earthy, even a bit bitter. It's like an invitation to explore the plant with your nose, not just your eyes.
Yeah. And what about how it feels? The texture. I'm thinking the leaves might feel different as they age, too.
Oh, absolutely. A young leaf, it might be tender, smooth, but an older one, that could get tougher, maybe even a bit leathery, like the difference between a baby's skin and, well, let's just say more experienced skin.
All right, so we covered the life stages, how the seeds spread, even the different ways you can experience the Ulam Raja with your senses. But there's this one question that keeps popping into my head. We know it's an annual, right? But is there anything at all that a gardener could do to like stretch out that lifespan?
That is a fascinating question. It makes you wonder, like, how much can we really influence nature?
It's like, could we trick the Ulam Raja into thinking it has more time? Like, what if we messed with the light? Maybe make the days seem longer so it doesn't go dormant.
Oh, that's interesting. Light is super important for plants, right? How they grow and all that. If you gave it more light, maybe it would stay in that growing stage longer. But then would it still flower? Would it make seeds? That's an experiment I'd like to see.
And what about the temperature? Could you make like a little bubble around it, keep it warm all the time so it doesn't even think about going dormant?
It's like we're talking about plant science fiction here.
We are. This reminds me of what we were saying before about the gardener being a software plumber. There's a connection there, isn't there?
Yeah, I see what you mean. In software, you're always tweaking the code, trying to make it better.
Exactly.
Like, could we do that with gardening? Tweak the environment to get the results we want.
It's that same way of thinking. Try something, see what happens, and then adjust, and who knows what we might find out.
Maybe we could even, hack the Ulam Raja's genes to make it live longer.
Whoa, now we're talking about the future of gardening. But even without getting all fancy with genetics, there's so much we can learn just by watching, asking questions, and trying things out.
Absolutely.
This Ulam Raja and this gardener's experience, it's given us so much to think about, from like basic plant stuff to this whole connection between tech and nature.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
It makes me want to go find some Ulam Raja seeds myself. Start my own little experiment,
You know what they say, right?
What's that?
Every plant has a story.
Ooh, I like that.
All we have to do is listen.
Well said. So, as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Ulam Raja, I hope you're feeling inspired to get out there, explore your own gardens, ask questions, and maybe even challenge what you think you know.
And who knows, you might just discover something amazing right in your own backyard.
That's right. So until next time, happy gardening, everyone.